All right, welcome all to Hit or Miss. I'm your host, Night Strike, and we're gonna try and talk about things tonight. It's just there's some things going on in the world that we want to talk about, and there's things going on that we don't. But hey, we talk about them anyways. It is what it is. So I've only got a few people here on the panel tonight. We got a small panel. Hopefully, more people will jump in as we go. If not, well, we're dealt with what we're dealt. In the meantime, we will introduce the people that we have on the panel right now. First up, after a short hiatus, a bloke's 2 cents is here.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for the invite.
How was your hiatus?
Well, been super busy. I'm not going to go through the whole spiel, but I started a company.
You don't have to.
Yeah, I started a company, and I'm going to SHOT Show.
Another one's going to SHOT Show. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
I wish I could go to SHOT Show. Hell, I don't even think I'm going to be able to make a trip this year. I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to go to Gun Rights Policy again this year, or even NRAM. And I want to go to both, but it's just not looking like it. So
there's always next year, buddy.
Yeah. Anyways, next up we got Mr. I'm from Pennsylvania, but I live in West Virginia. Rich White.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Good.
Has anybody seen my tail? I can't find my tail.
We got Eeyore here.
Hi, Rich.
And then, then we have everyone's favorite unofficial co-host of Hit or Miss, Tuesday nights 9 o'clock. We've got Travis P11. What's going on, Travis?
Hey, not much, man. Appreciate the invite. As always, cheap plugs as usual. Check out Caliber Corner Monday nights at 6 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock East Coast Time. Little gun chat podcast that we host. We have a lot of fun. Make sure you check it out. And then also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Travis P11. And as always, support GunTube.org.
Check out GunTube.org. Check out, everything else. Anyways, first up on the docket tonight, we have to talk about it because I saw it in the news yesterday. I have to mention it. But everyone's favorite I Am Spartacus Senator Cory Booker has ended his presidential campaign. Apparently, he wasn't Spartacus enough for the people of the United States.
Don't know what to say. What was his official reasoning? Just lack of funds, or what? Is that what he said? Not that we care, but I'm curious.
I don't know what his reasoning is.
His reasons were that he's a loser.
He's a loser. Yeah, that's basically what it is. He couldn't get enough, people on board with his campaign.
All right, well, one less we got to worry about, I guess, right?
Yeah, considering his stance on guns were even worse than some of the other ones.
Oh, I know.
Though they're all pretty bad on guns because they're all Democrats. But him and Swalwell are the two that I was concerned about because, I'm glad Swalwell dropped out because we don't need Nuke Boy nuking half the country because they don't want to give up their guns.
Yeah. Did you see the current thing with Bernie, where somebody is accusing him of having told Elizabeth Warren that a woman can never be president?
I don't think Bernie would ever say that.
Is that documented anywhere or not?
I mean, if they've got proof, let's see their proof. And it has to be actual proof, not hearsay or not this person heard him say it. No, that's not proof.
Well, that's basically what it is. It's he said, she said kind of situation. Yeah.
And how convenient right before the next round of debates is popping up. Wow. What a strategy, Yeah. Totally paint your opponents in the negative and get below the belt.
Yeah, keep this in mind. When the trial starts for the impeachment, Bernie and Elizabeth Warren aren't going to be able to go and campaign in Iowa. They're going to be stuck in Washington because they have to be there for that.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, and that's the Iowa caucus is huge, man. I mean, that's a monster.
Mm-hmm. That's got some people wondering if Pelosi did this intentionally to harm both of them, or if she's just that much of a dunderhead.
I'm going to say the second reason, the second one, because we've already established it on Budget Guns and Gear Reviews show that Pelosi is a nut job, and so is Elizabeth Warren, and so is who was the last guy this last week? Who was it? You remember, Rich? Who was the moron of the week?
Wait, on which day? There have been morons of the week every day last week.
On Friday.
On Friday. Nope, I don't remember. I don't remember.
Okay. Either way, he was a dumbass.
Yeah, there's been multiples of those lately.
Wait. What did Chuck Schumer?
I honestly don't remember.
Okay, well, one of them was a dumbass. So there we go. Yeah, that's all I wanted to go over. I didn't want to spend too long on this.
Oh, here's another one for you. Remember Cardi B after they blew up the Iranian guy? I'm applying for Nigerian citizenship. Now she's saying she wants to get an education so that she can run for Congress instead.
She's the girl that used to be a stripper, right?
She used to be a prostitute.
Yeah, and didn't she get accused by people of giving people Special K, knocking them out, and then robbing them?
Oh no, she freely admitted to doing it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the kind of person that you want representing your people. That's who you want representing you.
Uh-huh. She can't even speak English. I mean, she's a native English speaker. She just can't speak it.
Yeah, I've tried to listen to her speak before, and yeah.
Oh my Lord.
And there's been a couple times I've watched some of her interviews, and she's done these like weird little shout outs and noises that it's kind of funny. She has gang affiliations too. You look up her past, and she does these little noises that you do when you're in like a blood neighborhood, like these little bird whistle noises and stuff that people do, because people watch it, they're like, oh, she's whistling like a little Tweety bird. I'm like, no, that's like a Bloods and Crips like shout out that there's somebody from a gang in your neighborhood. I'm like, did I just hear that? Yeah, there's an Ellen interview. I watched an interview with Ellen, and I just, I don't know, man. I was just kind of fascinated. I was like, really? Okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I guess anybody's got potential, I guess that's the way you got to say it. But yeah,
they were big for an interesting conversation at this point of
oh my God.
Who is the dumbest person in Congress, Cardi B or AOC?
I don't know, man.
If those are my only choices, I need to move somewhere where those aren't my choices. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What state would she be running for? New York or something, or California, or what would she do?
She lives in California now, but she's from New York, so who knows?
Okay.
She might be dumb enough that she thinks she can run from like Virginia or someplace too. So
I don't know.
She'll think that she can run in Nigeria and represent them in the U.S. Congress.
Oh my God.
Okay. Moving on, because that's just no. All right, so I got another topic that we're going to talk about. We're going to cover because that was just no.
Well, that was the comedy for tonight.
That was the humor tonight. Yeah. More defense attorneys arguing AR-15 lowers aren't firearms. ... And they're winning. AR-15 style rifles. This is part of it. They're going on. A key part known as the frame or receiver is split into upper and lower pieces. Defense lawyers have used this design feature of one of America's most popular firearms to derail prosecutions by arguing the part doesn't meet a legal definition prosecutors have long relied on. Okay. Back in October, there was a story about a California man who was charged with running an illegal firearms manufacturing operation. He got off scot-free, though, because his attorney noticed the ATF's definition of what legally constitutes a firearm does not include AR-15 lowers, at least not according to the letter of the law. And while I'm not saying, good job, he got off, but again, this could open things up and, make some state laws moot because of the definition. Okay. And the judge in the trial ruled that the AR-15 lowers don't fall under the statutory definition of a firearm. Again, as the article was written before, that no doubt set off an alarm bells from LA to DC. If the ruling were allowed to stand, that would set a very inconvenient precedent, one that would make AR-15 lowers like any other part of an AR platform rifle. Just another gun part that could be made and sold through the mail to just about anyone. No serial number or background check needed. The argument that the defendant's attorney employed to get his client a very good deal will no doubt be used by defendants in future prosecutions of the same kind. It could also be used by other attorneys to try to reverse previous conviction of those found guilty on similar charges. Take that for what it's worth. Now it seems that word has gotten out in the legal community, and the argument is being used more often by defense attorneys in trials, and they're winning. Here's a story from the AP, the Associated Press, on the problem that the ATF has on its hands. This one was by Jake Bleiberg and Stephanie Dazio, Associated Press. A subtle design feature of the AR-15 has raised a technical legal question that is derailing cases against people who are charged with illegally buying and selling the gun's parts or building the weapon. Remember, the Associated Press is kind of left-leaning, so they're going to say stuff like that. So, at issue is whether a key piece of one of America's most popular firearms meets the definition of a gun that prosecutors have long relied on. For decades, the federal government has treated a mechanism called the lower receiver as the central piece of the semi-automatic rifle, which has been used in some of the nation's incidents. Prosecutors regularly bring charges based on that specific part. But some defense attorneys have recently argued that the part does not meet the definition in the law. Federal and law enforcement officials who have long been concerned about the discrepancy are increasingly worried that it could hinder some criminal prosecutions and undermine firearms regulations nationwide. Now the cat is out of the bag, so I think you'll see more of this going on, said Stephen Holbrook, an attorney who has written books on gun law and history. Basically, the government has gotten away with this for a long time. Cases involving lower receivers represent a small fraction of the thousands of federal gun charges filed each year. But the loophole has allowed some people accused of illegally selling or possessing the parts, including convicted felons, to escape prosecution. Now, I don't agree with convicted felons, actual bad people getting away with this, but regular people like you and me who didn't know they were doing wrong, I don't agree with them going after and prosecuting. Okay, I just want to make that clear distinction because I want us all to do the right thing and follow the law, but I understand that some people who do not follow the law regularly on a regular basis and will not follow the law will try everything they can to get out of something. Okay. Now, okay. Cases involving low receivers are a small fraction of thousands of federal gun charges filed each year, but the loophole allows felons to escape prosecution. The issue also complicates efforts to address so-called ghost guns, which are largely untraceable because they are assembled from parts. Since 2016, at least 5 defendants have challenged the government and succeeded in getting some charges dropped, avoiding prison or seeking their cases dismissed entirely. Sorry, allergies. These judges have rejected the government's interpretation of the law. Despite dire warnings from prosecutors, federal regulations define a firearms frame or receiver as the piece considered to be the gun itself. But in an AR-15, the receiver is split into upper and lower parts, and some of the components listed in the definition are contained in the upper half. That has led judges to rule that the lower receiver cannot be considered a gun. Technically, I'll be honest, I don't consider the AR-15 a gun until it's fully assembled, not disassembled and parts here and there. It's not a gun until it's been fully assembled, but that's my definition.
Thank you. Everything okay?
But again, the lower receiver sits above the pistol grip, holds the trigger and hammer, and has a slot for the magazine. By itself, it cannot fire a bullet. But by treating the piece as a firearm, the ATF is able to regulate who can obtain it because authorities consider the part to be a gun. People prohibited from having firearms have been charged for possessing them.
Huh?
I didn't hear till I finished this.
What?
Because I just don't like just getting mad at me because just not going with it.
There we go. All right, where's it say? In 2018, prosecutors said ruling against the government would seriously undermine the ATF's ability to trace and regulate firearms nationwide. Okay. That was by CNN. Last month, a federal judge in Ohio dealt the latest blow, dismissing charges against 2 men accused of making false statements to buy lower receivers. Any public citizen would be concerned about the loophole that we exploited, said attorney Thomas Kurt, who represented defendant Richard Rowald. As a citizen, I hope the ATF corrects this. As Mr. Rowald's attorney, I'm grateful the judge followed the law in getting the correct result. So there's that. The gun industry estimates there are more than 17 million AR-15 style rifles in circulation. I would guess a bit more, but that's just my opinion. And the National Rifle Association once dubbed it America's rifle. Well, it is. It was made by Eugene Stoner, an American. AR-15 style rifles were used and they're talking about the attacks in, Connecticut, Nevada, and Florida. I don't really want to go over those because I don't want to give those assholes any credit or fame. In the case of Rowald, who is prohibited from buying or possessing firearms because of felony convictions, the government claimed that he used another man as a proxy to purchase 50 lower receivers. The 2018 indictment also charged him with having 15 lower receivers. Kurt declined to comment on why his client had the parts. The case rested on ATF claims that the components were legally firearms. Judge James Carr called that a plainly erroneous reading of the law, said the agency has a duty to fix the problem. Misapplying the law for a long time provides no immunity from scrutiny, Carr wrote in his order to dismiss. Federal prosecutors in Rowald's case and several others declined to comment. An ATF spokeswoman would not answer questions posed by the Associated Press, but said the agency is keenly assessing Carr's decision. Well, you can assess it all you want, but the decision stands unless you appeal it. The problem has attracted attention at the highest levels of law enforcement. In 2016, Attorney General Loretta Lynch, I do not like her, wrote a letter to House Speaker Paul Ryan after a judge dismissed a case in Northern California involving a man with a felony record who was accused of buying an unmarked AR-15 low receiver from an undercover agent. Oh no. Prosecutors argued that the case against Alejandro, I don't know. Should we say it? Travis, should we say it? Our good friend Adam might get angry. Because this could be Adam's cousin. Oh, hell, I'll say anyways. Alejandro Jimenez should proceed even if the part does not perfectly fit the legal definition. The judge dismissed the charges. The decision prompted Lynch to write that if the ATF wants an AR-15 low receiver to be considered a firearm under law, then it should pursue regulatory or administrative action, but there's no public record of the ATF taking such a step. I can't imagine why no one has taken the initiative to correct this, said Dan O'Kelly, a former senior ATF agent whose testimony has guided several defense attorneys, probably because nobody wants to take the heat for when it goes south, when a judge decides to throw it out of the book. Anyways, we're almost done. Okay. I know that this is a huge,
all right. It's an important idea. It's a landmark decision if something would rule in our favor.
Since Lynch's letter, such prosecutions have continued to secure prison sentences. In April, for instance, an Oklahoma man was charged with illegally possessing a firearm after police pulled him over, found loaded high-capacity magazines, standard in normal states, and the lower receiver of an AR-15 style rifle in his truck. Jason Scott Pedro, a 37-year-old with a felony record of domestic violence, was sentenced in November to 70 years in prison. There's no evidence in court records that Pedro's lawyer challenged whether the lower receiver was rightly considered a gun. The attorney did not respond to requests for comment, but has filed a notice of appeal. I think the criminal defense bar has kind of let their clients down for letting this go on for all these years, Holbrook said. In one case, an ATF expert testified that the same principle could apply to many other firearms. Prosecutors worry that more rulings against the government could allow people prohibited from having guns to purchase weapons piece by piece with no regulation or background check. Well, having the pieces and assembling the pieces are two different things. Anyways, let's see. Piece by piece with no regulation or background check. Franklin Zimmering, a professor at U of C, Berkeley School of Law, is skeptical of that claim and said the same behavior could often be prosecuted under state laws. The AR-15 is a popular model for gun enthusiasts to legally build at home. The rifles are sometimes constructed out of partially machined receivers, often called 80% receivers, which can be bought and sold without background checks and need not have serial numbers because they are unfinished. If federal law wants to maintain control in this growing do-it-yourself gun market, they must first establish functional regulation of low receivers, said Kristen Rand, legislative director at the Washington, D.C.-based Violence Policy Center. From a public safety standpoint, she said, this is very important and isn't just an in-the-weeds legal definitional problem. And that's the end of the article. Thank God. I need to take a break. I need to get a drink. The article was way too long, but discuss. Come on, guys.
I just don't see what the point is even behind having, serial numbers on guns in general anyway, other than just tracking for nefarious purposes. I mean, let's think about it. How many guns do you guys think are traced back to the original owner as the person that actually committed the crime thanks to the serial number? What actual percentage do you think of firearms? And people that commit crimes with firearms, there's a pretty good chance, there's always going to be a possibility that they're going to be arrested or killed themselves with the firearm on their person. So I just think that I think that we should just be able to just buy guns freely. Personally, that's kind of my opinion on everything. Whether it's an upper or a lower, we shouldn't even have to, a gun should just be a firearm, and you should just be able to buy it if you, I don't know if you want to have an age requirement or whatnot, whatever works for you, whatever you think is a safe age to own a firearm. But, I think that we need more lax firearms regulations personally.
Yeah. Rich?
This is a weird one. Because whatever the serialized part is what the part that's considered a firearm. An AR lower is the serialized part, therefore that is considered by law to be a firearm. I don't know where the judges in these cases are getting that they're not, because by law, as it's written now, they are.
Look at it from perspective. If you just have that lower part, it can't function as a firearm because it doesn't have the barrel. It doesn't have the striker. It doesn't have any of that.
That doesn't matter. That's the part that is considered a firearm because that is the serialized part. Whichever part is the serialized part is the firearm. If manufacturers were to serialize the uppers, the upper would be the firearm. If they serialize the lower is therefore the firearm. It's like your SIG 320. The firearm itself is the module that goes in the frame because that's the serialized part. Personally, I don't think the judges are right to be dismissing those cases based on simply the fact that it's a lower.
So you're for regulation, okay?
I'm not for regulation. I'm saying, as the law is written, the judge is wrong.
What I don't want to see is some sort of a situation come out where you have to buy the completed firearm instead of being able to just buy the upper or the lower. You're forced to buy the complete firearm, because that's what is defined as the firearm, is the upper and lower for an AR-15. That's what I don't want to see. I mean, I like the fact that I can buy a complete upper and have it delivered to my house and not have to worry about registering it, enjoying it in my own, home, whatnot, my own private use, whatever. But that's what I don't want to see is the serial number having to be put on the bolt carrier group or the upper at all.
Yeah, and
I understand with rifles, it's a different situation because the receiver is the upper essentially. But yeah.
But I look at it from an objective standpoint. I mean, follow me here for a second, okay? Without the lower receiver, okay, you can't do anything. If all you have is an assembled upper, you can't do anything. Even if you just have the lower receiver and you don't even have a buffer tube or anything on it, you just have the trigger, your fire control group in it. It's still not a firearm until it's fully assembled. Now, if the rifle is fully assembled, or pistol in some cases, if it's fully assembled, then it's a firearm. But disassembled, it's just a piece. That's what they're trying to get at, guys. I know. You're right about the serialization, but again, if you look at it objectively, if it's just one piece, it's just one piece. It's not the whole firearm. It's not assembled. Unless it's assembled, then it's a firearm. And that's what they're getting at. That's what they're using as logic. And it really is sound logic.
It might be sound logic, but it's not legal logic. So that's what you got to look at. Sound logic doesn't always apply to the law. The judge has to enforce the law as it's written. The way the law is written, that is a firearm, and these are people that are not allowed to have that these cases are being dismissed. I'm
not arguing for those people, and I already said that earlier. You know that.
Yeah.
But there are regular people that have gotten in trouble because some of their states decide they want to make an example out of someone because they had an 80% receiver, and that's happened a lot of times in California.
Yeah, the ones that you read off in this article, though, like the one judge,
a lot of these people are criminals. Yeah, I get that.
That case should never have been dismissed.
I understand that, but you realize that this kind of precedent can also help actual good people.
You want the firearm being the lower, okay? Because that is the easiest part to produce. You don't want the firearm being the upper or an assembled rifle. You want it the way it is now. If you have to have a law at all, you want it to be the easiest part to produce to make it your house to be the firearm. And that's the law. That's the way it stands now. So.
All right.
The problem that I have with this is that I don't want to stand on an island and fight. I get the antics behind it, but wanting to stand on it when I know these guys are doing something wrong, that's a hard part for me to want to stand behind them on this. That's where we look bad to the rest of the community and the anti-gunners when they see us defending this issue. That's my only issue with this. I totally agree with you, but that's my issue on that.
Yeah, I understand that, but remember, with law, any trial, any case can create a precedent for people who are for good people or bad people. It doesn't matter because however someone justifies skirting around a law, breaking the law, a loophole. It doesn't matter whether you're a criminal or if you're a normal citizen that is being made an example of. Okay, the fact is that the law is the law, and people are going to try and get around it all the time. So, anyways, I just want to talk about this because it's an interesting article. It shows, yes, I understand. It talks about some people who did some bad things, and they have to bear the consequences of what they did. But again, this kind of ruling could help people who made mistakes but didn't do the wrong thing and aren't bad people. Okay, there's always that chance. You understand that, don't you?
Ignorance has never been a defense.
Yeah, ignorance of the law is not a defense before it. If you do something unknowingly and it's still something illegal, you are still guilty of breaking that law, whether you knew it was illegal or not.
They say that, but let me ask you this: how many laws are on the books already, and how many of them do you actually know?
All the ones that will get me in trouble.
I can't recite every single law in this country.
I can't kill somebody. I can't steal something. I can't trespass on property. You know what's right and wrong, and there's a law for what's wrong.
I do know what's right and wrong, but my point still stands. There are a ton of laws in this country. There are even some that you, I, even Rich White does not know, and if we break them. And
you're trying to go down some rabbit hole to deflect from the
still
point.
Ignorant of
what point do you think? What part do you think should be the firearm? That's the question.
I don't know. I don't have an answer. I'm not.
Well, the answer is if you have to have a part that's the firearm, you want it to be the easiest one to manufacture, and that is the lower. Yes. You don't. Do you really want the barrel being the firearm? Can you make a barrel at home? No. You can't make a bolt carrier group. You can't make an upper. You see why you got it made, and you're just looking a gift horse in the mouth.
Oh, come on. It's discussion. Okay, let's ask Bloke. Bloke, you have an interesting perspective because you're not originally from this country. What do you think about this?
I kind of stand. I agree with Duke on that, man. I mean, it's hard to stand by something that is being used for criminal activity. My standpoint on any type of law is, for a perfect example, if you get in the car and you drive that car, you better know what the law is, because if you break it, your butt is going to jail. I mean, simple as that. Same thing with the firearm. So I agree with what's your name? Tony?
Tony, yeah.
I agree with you too, Tony. Definitely make the lower the firearm. But I see your point, Night Strike, as far as helping people who do get in trouble, but where do you draw the line?
That's another point. I don't know where you draw the line. And does a line need to be drawn?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah, we're governed by laws. You know, some of them are stupid and some of them are not, but we're still governed by them.
you know, what I don't like is I don't like some states trying to make 80% receivers illegal to normal citizens, people who are legally allowed to have guns anyways. They make them against the law, and then they go and prosecute people they find that have these that aren't registered felons, and they turn them into felons. And that's the position I'm taking on.
Well, you know, here's the other aspect. I mean,
because it plays into this.
But if you go back to the car example, if you buy a car and you drive a car and you get a driver's license, you better know the law in your state, right? I mean, seriously, you better know the law in your state if you're driving a vehicle. Same thing with firearms. I mean, know the laws in your state.
Yeah. Yep. All right. What other topics do we have to talk about?
Virginia update.
I'm just going to quickly go over this. The Virginia sheriff who promised to deputize citizens when new gun controls laws are enacted, he has renewed the promise. Virginia Sheriff Scott Jenkins, who has gained national prominence for his plan to shield his citizens from Democrats' gun control schemes, says more of his fellow sheriffs are now on board with his idea. Jenkins serves in Culpeper County, a rural enclave in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, just 75 miles southwest of the nation's capital. He is entering his 8th year as a chief law enforcement officer there. In recent months, his willingness to take visible Second Amendment stands on behalf of the 47,000 Culpeper residents has won him accolades from gun rights groups across the country. Most notable is his declaration that he is willing to deputize Culpeper County firearms owners to shield them from new firearms restrictions, penalties, or confiscations, which, if you haven't seen what's going on in Virginia, things are getting much, much worse. This is why I don't care whether you're a libertarian, you think taxation is theft. If you're a Republican, a libertarian Republican, or a Goldwater Republican like myself, go out and vote when you have to vote. I don't want to hear an excuse. Get your ass out there and vote. Otherwise, your state turns into Virginia. Okay? Now, back to this. In Richmond, where Democrats bent on drastic gun control have taken up a slew of infringement bills, Sheriff Jenkins politely waited his turn in the citizen testimony lines at the first set of hearings for his chance to criticize the schemes as empty politics. Technically, they're just wasting the state's money and time, but that's one perspective. Unfortunately, there are more. Jenkins leaned in as he scolded the Democrat lawmakers for their plans to allow localities to ban firearms carry in parks, government buildings, and at special events. Comments that triggered jeers from the red-shirted Moms Demand Action attendees in the gallery. I thought Bloomberg was spending most of his money on his campaign. He said, the last thing we need are more gun-free zones. You didn't get a mandate when you were elected in November. Listen to those who are operating in the realm of constitutional laws and not to the voices of those who are shoveling money into the state. The sheriff says the Bloomberg-funded attacks on his defense of the Second Amendment rights only strengthens his resolve.
Michael, did you fix my phone?
Sheriff Jenkins says that as the Second Amendment sanctuary movement swept the Old Dominion, more and more of his fellow sheriffs have reached out to him to say they are looking at a deputization program as a constitutional response to unconstitutional laws. And Jenkins says that he will not knuckle under this issue to State House Democrats if push comes to shove. Okay. It just goes on to say, mention more of his comments, but he is standing up to him. At least he got one sheriff that has some balls in the state of Virginia. Excuse me. We have to say it in words that people don't understand. Cojones.
Hey, now I understand that.
It's pronounced cajones, not cajones or whatever you said.
I mean, it literally means drawers, like drawers of a dresser, but it also means, whatever you want it to be. So, yeah.
It means you got some girth underneath there that proves that
the nether regions. The nether
you're brave and you've got courage.
Yep. Well, one thing I did want to mention was I did read, and I mean, I need to go back over the specifics, but it looks like they did strike down a major part of some of the laws that they were trying to push through in Virginia. There was a bill, I don't know if it was SB 16 or something. It looks like it got shot down. It was the one that was going to be like a hardcore semi-automatic ban, the 10-round mag limit and the semi-automatic this and that. Looks like that law has been pulled, but then they're still pushing for other regulations. But I mean, I just think more and more support that you get against these bills on all levels, man. Law enforcement, the people, the numbers start showing up at the rallies, and people are letting their representatives know that they're not happy. I think it is eventually going to start to have an impact, especially if a lot of these people want to think about re-election. If that's what they really care about, it's going to be to their advantage to do what the people want, really, which is what they're supposed to do in the first place. But yeah, which doesn't happen.
I think what the most interesting thing to me is how spontaneous the whole state, the people of Virginia have just risen up. What are there, like 50 counties? How many counties now have those ceremonial laws that basically are going to, refuting the act of gun confiscation, whatever.
Apparently, I think it's all but 7 counties in the state of Virginia that every county but 7 are gun sanctuary counties.
That's what it was. The sanctuary city. Yeah. Gun sanctuary city. Yeah.
Counties.
Ends up being
but that happened rather quickly. I mean, look at the speed that happened. It's amazing. When you think about any kind of county government doing anything, on any kind of schedule, I just think that's pretty amazing.
And what else is crazy is I have not heard of any violence or any altercations happening at any of those meetings when that was passed. I haven't heard about anybody breaking out of fights. I mean, they've had some good discussions from the footage I've seen on the news, but they've peacefully been able to pass this.
Okay.
So, that right there is remarkable in itself, too.
Clint has said this out in the chat. Rich, I need to know if this is true. Has West Virginia invited sanctuary counties to become part of West Virginia?
Yes, it has. Frederick County, Virginia, has actually petitioned to leave Virginia and become part of West Virginia.
So are we going to have like an East Virginia then, or what? Yeah. The new East Virginia Republic, is that?
No. It's
Middle Virginia.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. My Virginia geography.
You'll have West Virginia. You'll have Central Virginia. You'll have East Virginia.
Yeah. Middle Earth Virginia.
Now,
those 7 counties that are not gun sanctuary counties, those will be part of East Virginia, like the old Cold War East Germany.
No, if everybody petitions, that'll be the only part that's still Virginia. The rest of it would all be West Virginia.
Do they border Free County or Free State or something? That the petitioning county or not? Or are they going to be an island?
I don't know. Well, apparently my wife's upset because if it happens, they're going to take away West Virginia's unique shape of giving the rest of the country the middle finger.
Oh man!
I've demonstrated how that works before. I mean, if you haven't seen, should I show Travis what exactly that means?
Please do. I mean, yeah.
Okay. Here's the state of West Virginia.
Huh.
Here's the Western Panhandle.
Uh-huh.
Here's the main part of the state over, and then here's
I don't think this is appropriate for Stan.
No. This is a metaphorical representation of the state. It's not. If you interpret as anything else, that's your own problem. So
this literally is the shape of West Virginia.
Gotcha.
Stan, you
Look on
might
a
want
map.
to turn the
This is the shape of
monitor
West
Well, I
Virginia.
just like Nebraska because Nebraska looks like a big gun, and so that's kind of cool. It looks like a big Ruger 57, really, you know.
Okay, Stan, it's okay to turn the monitor back on.
Honestly, if you look at the map of the country, that is literally the shape of West Virginia.
Hey, you got a phone call.
Okay, now I got to look up a map of West Virginia because I haven't studied geography since middle school. Oh yeah,
Hey, says the guy who actually teaches. That's hilarious.
I'm not a geography teacher. Why do you guys think? Why do you guys assume that I'm a math teacher or a geography teacher? I can substitute those classes if I need to, but that's not my subject area. I mean, I know a lot about them, but that's not my specialty. So,
I don't know.
okay. I'm not. It's not a one-room schoolhouse. I'm not. You know the. I'm not the one. Hey, kids, go get the coal, and we're gonna move on to English next. You know, that's not how it is. I mean,
Wait, you're
I
not?
can do this. I can
You're
do this
not?
if I have to, but no, we have electricity and running water in central Nebraska. We just
You
took down the
do?
hitching post. We just took down the hitching post for the horses last week. You know, we got this
You
thing
have
called
a
the
bomb
automobile
shelter?
coming in now. Yeah,
You guys still got a spit bottle there?
yeah. We moved up from sod houses to wood houses now, so that's good. So we're yeah. Yep.
Did y'all ever get a chalkboard?
Yeah, no,
They
we
use
just right on the
whiteboards
wall.
now.
We just I've never actually used a chalkboard. I'm sorry. I've been an expo marker guy my entire career. So now we had chalkboards when I was in grade school, though. I used to routinely be the person to request to go beat the erasers and go inhale the asbestos dust that comes off of them. So yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Good times.
I guess I'm showing my age now. Dang.
no, that's all good, man. No, we had chalkboards when I was in high school, though.
Yeah, I had. Well, it wasn't high school. It was middle school. It was chalkboards.
Oh yeah, there you go. Good old days. Hey, Nice Strike. I'm gonna bail and head on over to Sandy's chat. He's gonna be starting up here pretty soon.
No, come on.
Sorry,
You can stay
man.
For another 5 minutes.
We gotta discuss our topic for this evening. I gotta make sure I'm prepped and ready to go, man. So
All right, give
Why
us your outro.
all right, guys. Well, anyway, check out the channel. Yeah.
Tell them who is sponsored Hit or Miss tonight.
GunTube.org.
Close enough.
I know what you want me to say, but I can't. That's not a business agreement I can agree to because I'm not the other half of the business. So
Right,
you want that?
right,
You
right.
got to negotiate that yourself, Nice Strike, if you want to go that route. So
Well, you're
Right.
sponsored by him, so there we go.
yes, my episode
real
was provided courtesy of SS Pond, Lexington, Nebraska. Right.
Real quick before Travis leaves, so that everybody here says Kingpin just sent both of us, Travis, a link in our emails to a video from Guns and Gadgets where he is talking about West Virginia doing that and offering the sanctuary counties to come over to West Virginia instead. So just one.
Maybe we can absorb part of Eastern Colorado and just create the new Nebraska Republic. There you go. Maybe that's what we should do, so we can get rid of those regulations that Colorado has, and we can get E-Honda in our tax bracket. It's much lower than Colorado. So
Key West tried to get their own passport. It didn't work.
Well, that's Key West.
I mean, really, Eastern Colorado and Western Nebraska look absolutely identical, and actually part of Kansas now that I think about it. So, there we go. We'll create the vice royalty of the Great Plains. We'll have Gizzard Gary as the monarch,
All
and Honda can be anyway. All right, I gotta go,
All
guys.
right.
Y'all
Get
take
out
care,
of
man. Have a good night. Y'all take care. Have a good one.
Take it easy.
Later, guys.
See ya.
Bye bye. See ya.
I gotta head out to Night Strike. Thanks for the invite. I really appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
All right, take it easy.
Yeah, I'm looking at the West Virginia Legislature webpage right now. There is a House Concurrent Resolution. It's House Concurrent Resolution 8, which does exactly what we were just talking about. It offers the sanctuaries in Virginia to come over and join West Virginia.
All right. I'm gonna switch topics real here. I have mentioned I'm building an AR 9mm pistol. I just want to turn the camera on and show people how far I've gotten so far. Let me see. Okay, the camera's not working yet. Hold on. Technical difficulties and budget. I can say that because I have to help you with yours. So this is about as far as I've gotten with my AR pistol build right now. So
Looking good.
I've got the magwell adapter in there. I've got the magazine. I got 2 magazines in the mail today. So some Colt SMG mags. I have an issue with it, but it won't stop the function of the gun. It's just an issue. Don't worry about it. I might mention it later, but so far that's what I've got. I got to get the pistol buffer tube. I've got to get the the buffer and the spring and the plate for it, and then I can put in the rear takedown pin. And then I got to get an upper, and the upper is going to be expensive. It's like $375. So it is what it is, but that's where I'm at on my pistol build. So there we go.
Sell some GunTube stock to buy your upper.
I wish. So. All right. What else?
Live stream has stopped.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, this is what happened to me Sunday. So,
Sabotage.
All right. Let's see.
Did I get booted?
You say bacon?
All right.
Oh, I thought I got booted there for a second.
no, you didn't get booted. The stream got booted.
And this is weird because why is it doing that?
This is what happened to me on Sunday. We're in the middle of talking about something, and all of a sudden, boom! It crashed. It's like this. This is exactly what happened on Sunday.
Get on direct admin. Check the server.
Yeah, no, not direct admin. Not on this.
Oh, you don't run direct admin on that server?
No, because you can't have 2 web servers on it.
Well, I'm gonna head out anyway because I'm gonna go over to Sandhill. So I'll catch y'all later. Hopefully you get
New company that I
Live
started.
streaming is on.
Okay,
That's
we're back.
cool. Do you live in the UK or here in the States?
I live in Florida.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's why you got, I see, the shaker Florida.
Okay.
Good. That's cool.
That's not right. There we go. All right, we're back, guys. We're gonna head this out. I don't know why it stopped on us, but it did. So I'm gonna finish this up. But Rich is gone. He had to go jump over to Sandy's. So did Travis. Ian had to go and run off too. So they're gone. It's just me, Tony, and a bloke's 2 cents left. So, guys, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Tony, give your plugs if you have anything to plug.
I have nothing to plug except plug itself.
How about freedom?
Live streaming has stopped.
Good Lord.
And there's that.
What were you going to say except what? What do I have to plug?
Never mind.
Well, remind me because maybe next time I can plug. No, I don't. I don't come here to plug stuff. I come here to discuss things with you.
Yeah. Well, guys, I got to hop off here too. I got to finish my paper. Tony, it was nice meeting you, man.
Yeah, nice meeting you too. What's your YouTube channel?
ABTC Inc.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's changed now. So I'm no longer a content provider. I actually started a company. So
what does your company do?
We sound test suppressors with the B&K Pulse.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a digital pulse meter that has 3 axes, and it can capture mil spec left, mil spec right, and shooter's ear simultaneously without environmental factors.
Does that mean it has one input device or several input?
There's 3. There's 3 inputs.
That's what I was imagining, which sounds better.
Oh yeah, so I recently done well. There's 2 videos up now. There's 2 more scheduled. I did a 4-part series with a company called Dead Air. They came